This is True Crime Arizona, an Arizona's Family Originals podcast.
Future death. The second prong of the medical exception.
I'm sitting in the newsroom when our assistant news director walks out of his office and says, "Check your email. You've got to see this." I'm reading this email from Scottsdale police. And when I say this is the craziest twist in a cold case I've seen, I mean it. And that's saying something, considering we're covering cold cases all the time. The only thing that could make this whole situation even more bizarre was getting an unexpected text from a familiar face in the Scottsdale Fire Department.
That's when I reached out to you saying, hey, I was on that call. I played what I felt like a significant role in just documenting what she had told me.
That became key in a case that was about to rock international headlines decades later. July 29th, 1994.
That was just one of those calls that'll always stick with me.
Dave Folio is now a Scottsdale fire captain and public information officer. We know him well in the media. But at the time, Folio was a young firefighter in the Rural Metro Fire Department, stationed in Scottsdale. The guys are all in bed at the fire station when they get a call for a serious accident in North Scottsdale.
As you take a right off of Shea, looking down Scottsdale Road, remember seeing a van on its top and a white car off to the west side of the road. And then you can just tell it's a significant crash. It appeared that the van that was pulling off of one of the side streets had gone head on to the white car.
He and the medic rushed over to the driver in the white car, a young woman.
I'll remember this too because the medic that was with us that day, it was actually his first day out of medic school. He had to get an airway through the neck. So I'll always remember this call because right out of the academy, like what a better time to do it, right? Because you've practiced it, and he ended up getting that because there was a delayed where we had to get the airway, waiting for the extrication crews to get there.
Unfortunately, she passed away. We'd soon learn who she was and so much more about her life. But before that, Folio starts processing the other part of the scene.
I ultimately got sent over to help with the lady that was in the van, who ended up being Gloria Schulze.
31-year-old Gloria Schulze was the driver of the van that hit the victim. She also had to be taken to the hospital by ambulance. Dave Folio goes with her, and that's when she starts talking.
I had the lady, who at the time was Gloria Schulze, in the van, telling me that she had been drinking all day, had had several drinks.
Something about that interaction made Folio do something he typically didn't. It just seemed off to him, like maybe this would be a bigger deal than usual. So he went back to the fire station to write every detail down.
This doesn't feel right. I'm going to document everything I did, and I actually documented everything on a one-page form and stuck it in a file at the station.
That would come into play years later. He just didn't know it. Scottsdale police investigated this more and found evidence Gloria was not only drinking, but also smoking marijuana the night of the crash, which was illegal at the time. They charged Gloria Schulze with manslaughter and 3 counts of endangerment. Folio said back in the 90s, they wouldn't learn more about the call they responded to until later, if at all.
You didn't get information until the day after or so, or when it hit the news, then you found out exactly what call you were on.
That's when he found out who the victim was, 21-year-old Angela Maher, and her life story comes into focus.
This was an intelligent, educated young lady. And to have this happen is not fair.
That's Rosemarie Maher, Angela's mother.
Hi.
Angela was life of the party, as seen in videos from her recent wedding that her family shared. She was full of life and had so many friends. News reporters learn Angela had come back into town to visit for her mom's birthday.
Angela was supposed to graduate from college in Nebraska this December. She had dreams to become a lawyer or doctor.
That night, her mom said Angela's friend went out in Old Town Scottsdale, so Angela was going to pick her up as the designated driver.
If she ever went out and there was going to be drinking, she was the designated driver. If she wasn't going to be the designated driver, she pretty much wouldn't go.
The tragic irony in that aspect was hard to swallow. Angela was doing the right thing that night, trying to make sure her friend was safe from drunk driving, while allegedly being hit and killed by a drunk driver herself. And then it gets worse. Angela had actually started the Students Against Drunk Driving chapter at Xavier High School in Phoenix. She was passionate about it.
She was devastated because someone our age and someone that we knew, and of course we were younger then, had such a fatal accident that had nothing to do with him. It wasn't his fault. And it broke her up inside.
So many people that she impacted by starting that chapter.
How could this happen to Angela? Her mom was struggling to make sense of it all, as any mother would.
She had so much to offer the world to make it a better place, and she didn't get the chance to do that. And I think that's the whole tragedy of it all.
I do remember meeting with the mom, and she just wanted some closure. And even just the 10 minutes that we spent together, she just wanted to know that, that we did everything we could, and I assured her of that. And because of the blunt force trauma, that I don't think Angela ever, she never felt pain.
Angela's service was held, a room full of people who loved her.
Today, friends and family gathered to say goodbye to Angela. They say she'll be missed every moment.
This is where the story starts to take a bizarre turn. Gloria Schulze appears in court for her arraignment to face the manslaughter and endangerment charges. The judge talks to her in court.
Anyone except your attorney can be used against you. You understand that? Yes.
Then, Gloria vanished and was never seen again. No one knew where she had gone, including her own family. It became a tragic mystery because Angela's family wanted Gloria to be held accountable if she was drinking and driving, which cost Angela her life. A couple years later, Folio and his fire crew, along with Scottsdale police, work with the hit TV show Unsolved Mysteries in hopes the case will gain national attention and someone may recognize Gloria Schulze and lead authorities to the fugitive.
We were a part of the Unsolved Mysteries filming because they had pulled a few of us to do that filming. So we spent many nights late at night up in North Scottsdale filming this scene of where this van hit the car. And so that was kind of neat to do that, thinking that, this thing would go on Unsolved Mysteries, people would see it and they would find her, but they never did.
So in 2001, they decided to try Gloria in absentia for the crimes, meaning she'd be on trial without physically being there.
I ended up going to court for this several times. My first initial thought when I was in the courtroom was, where's Gloria?
Dave Folio was called to testify about responding to the scene that night. But while he didn't see Gloria in the courtroom, he said some of the witnesses who took the stand didn't know Gloria had disappeared. He said he later asked an attorney why that was.
They didn't want the jury to not know she wasn't in the courtroom or that she wasn't detained.
Folio's testimony was key, all going back to that paper he wrote on when he got back to the fire station after the accident that night in 1994.
When I was deposed by the lawyers, they were amazed that I pulled out this one-page sheet. The big thing that started to come out of that was the documentation I made about her telling me that she'd been drinking all day and she'd had several drinks.
Rosemarie Maher spoke in court, emotional.
And she should be responsible for those actions the day she took that first drink and knew that she had to get back in her car, and never be allowed to forget what she's done, because I, as a mother, will never forget.
Gloria Schulze was convicted in absentia on all 4 counts. But because she wasn't there, she couldn't be sentenced for her crimes. In early 2018, decades had gone by with no answers for Rosemarie Maher.
She did flee. They never did find her, but 7 years later we tried her in absentia, and to this day we haven't found her.
But now she had new hope that her daughter's killer would be found. Authorities released an age progression rendering of what they believed Gloria Schulze would look like at the time, hoping that in a day and age of social media, this image would circulate everywhere and somebody may recognize her.
I wonder how she could live with herself, because every day she gets up and every day my daughter's been dead.
Angela's mother spoke to our station at the time. The agony of Gloria seemingly getting away with what happened was hard to bear.
I hope that we find her. I don't think it's fair that I should lose a daughter that would have made a big difference in our society. Angela was a very caring person. She cared about everybody, more so than herself.
The new photo didn't lead to any new leads for years, until after 2020, when Scottsdale police received an interesting phone call. Turns out, Gloria's estranged brother had gotten an anonymous phone call that his sister had passed away from cancer in Yellowknife, Canada. This was odd. When Gloria went on the run, she cut any communication with her family. So this was pretty startling new info to everyone. Scottsdale police needed to verify if this caller was even credible. So a police analyst starts going through open source searches online and finds several articles about the life of a woman named Kate Dooley, who passed away from cancer in Yellowknife on December 1st, 2019. The article mentions a celebration of life and commends her passion and career in pyrotechnics with fireworks shows in the community. Those articles also had something else. A picture of Kate Dooley. It looked eerily similar to Gloria Schulze. Scottsdale police contact the Royal Canadian Mounted Police to try and find out if they know anything about Kate Dooley. Turns out, they do. They found in their records she had been arrested for DUI in 2009. But they had purged their records and no longer had her booking photo or driver's license information. They did, however, still have one thing in their records: her fingerprints. Scottsdale police works with the FBI and Interpol to get the fingerprints on file from Scottsdale and the fingerprints on file in Canada to a crime lab. On April 17th, 2024, Scottsdale police get a notification. The results were in. Kate Dooley was confirmed to be fugitive Gloria Schulze. I went looking for Rosemarie Maher's phone number, hoping we could talk to her about the news of her daughter's killer finally being identified after all these years. Of course, everyone wanted to find Gloria Schulze alive so she could be held accountable for her crime, but this was still finally the end of the mystery. Unfortunately, I learned Angela's mom passed away a few years ago. I did some record searches and ended up finding a number for extended family of Angela Maher. They knew about the case, but hadn't heard this news. I was able to let them know after 30 years, Gloria Schulze's identity was finally confirmed and questions to where she vanished were finally answered. They were ecstatic. This was the closure everyone needed and officially closed the case after so long. No one was more shocked than Dave Folio as he saw this update play out on the news, instantly jogging his memory and wonder. It brought him back to that accident scene, what Gloria said to him, and all they did to try and save Angela's life. For decades, he wondered where Gloria vanished after he met her that fateful 1994 night.
Yeah, it's just one of those calls, like it's always stuck with me.
Now, that's finally put to rest. True Crime Arizona, the podcast, is hosted by me, Brianna Whitney, and produced by Sergio Hernandez. It's a production of Arizona's Family, 3TV, CBS 5, and azfamily.com in Phoenix, Arizona.
This is True Crime Arizona, an Arizona's Family Originals podcast.